I've talked before a few times about how I'm a big fan of Spider-Man. He is my favorite superhero after all, and I tend to enjoy pretty much any media that he's in, except for the MCU and the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, but I love the comics, the video games, the TV shows, the movies, all that good stuff. Um, I don't have a PlayStation 5, so unfortunately, I haven't been able to play Spider-Man 2 for the PS5. We'll get to that in a little bit here, but I have had some level of experience with it, and I want to talk about some things that I think are very interesting, culturally speaking, that I want to get into here. Hey everyone, my name is Christian Verstappen, and I have a lot to say about many things. I want to talk about not having both of my windows there. Just to get meta real quick for you guys, the reason I do that is because if there's ever anything on the left side here, on the right side, I can just like move. So normally I do it more smoothly though, where like I'll remove one and I'll bring up the other. But there you go, little bit of behind the scenes action for you there. uh, anyway, so yeah, this is for the PlayStation 5. I don't have a PlayStation 5, but I have been watching the cutscenes and gameplay and all that good stuff. And by the way, if you don't have a way to play the game yet yourself, and you have some way where you want to experience it in some way, and you don't care like, oh, I have to experience the full thing, all at once. If you don't mind, like if you want to see like the cutscenes or the gameplay, what have you, I highly recommend Gamer's Little Playground, Spider-Man 2, all cutscenes, full movie game. And I recommend their content in general because they just make really good. We have like they combine they combine cutscenes with gameplay of in video games and mash it all together with editing and stuff to make it into a movie experience, and it's all really good. So, with that in mind, by the way, there are going to be slight spoilers for possibly, well, yeah, okay, yeah, for Spider-Man PS4, or as I like to call it, Insomniac Spider-Man, because it's Insomniac's brand of Spider-Man, and we're not on the PS4 anymore. So, anyway, but yeah, slight spoilers for that one and for Miles Morales. But I want to get into this properly here. So we're gonna be getting into the spoilers. So to give a little bit of context here, there's a love interest in the Miles Morales game specifically, where Miles befriends and ultimately begins developing feelings for a character by the name of Haley. Haley is a deaf character. She cannot, she speaks through sign language. And what I think they did here is really cool. I want to get into this. This is what I think is an incredible example of positive representation here, and I'm going to point it out as we get into it. So this is one of the first cutscenes in the game. It's only about an hour in, so you're not getting spoiled too much here. But if you're like, oh, any little thing I see, then you know, I'll put a timestamp when we're done with the spoiler section, if you will.
Where's Mr. Sumida?
Oh, he just left. Something about going on vacation?
What? That's incredible, Haley.
Also, while you were gone, I found out that I got the Rand scholarship.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Bro, that's like a full ride. Well, big day for everyone. I'm really missing out.
Oh, man.
Okay, so you probably already picked up on it, but what I really, really love here is that through this whole thing, we know, sure, Haley's deaf and has to communicate through sign language, but what I really like about this is if you pay attention here, so are Miles, and this character's name is Genki, so are Miles and Genki. They are communicating through sign language as well. And originally I thought, like, well, like, why do they need to do that? Like, they don't need sign language. But then I realized, oh no, they're doing this so that Haley's still included in the conversation. And I thought that was incredible because what we're seeing here is, in my opinion, the best way to do representation in media. They don't make a big deal about it. They don't have this whole like, oh, I'm going to speak sign language for you. They don't have anything like that. They don't have anything. They just have it being a normal part of their life because that's what it is. And that is the best way to integrate any idea, whether you're trying to like integrate into some type of culture and learning a different language, or whatever else it might be. You treat something like it's normal, and it will become normal. And it is because it is normal. Like people who aren't deaf speaking with somebody who is deaf. I mean, it's perfectly fine, you know. And then they're around somebody else. And throughout the game, whenever there are characters that are speaking to or around Haley, they make sure to do the same thing. And I find that incredible because it's such a small thing, but it's such a positive example of representation. And I really, really, really love it. So yeah, the whole time I was watching this, and the whole time I was seeing that, I was like, "This is incredible." I love this. It's such a small thing, but it is such a good example of how you properly do representation in media. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, from one really positive thing, we are going to discuss a not so positive thing. Let me find, I want to find, like, here, where are we? Okay. So, basically, since the beginning, when Mary Jane's character model in here, this is one of those examples where we're going to get meta here. Ready? What I told you guys about? Hey, there you go. See? Magic. So, when the character model was first revealed for Mary Jane in this game, in trailers and stuff, the fan base did not like it. We were not happy because if we look at how she, oh my god, where did I hate how this works. I'm going all over the place. I'm sorry. When we look at how she is, okay, here we go. This is her here. You know what? We're gonna remove. Yeah, we're just gonna do this. I'm gone. So we have on the left. This is what she looked like in the first game, and on the right, this is what she looks like in the new game. And people are like, people. There are people that are mad about this. There are people that are defending this. There are people that have all kinds of different takes on this, obviously. And I think very much that I know that I personally don't like it. I do not like the way this face looks at all. And a lot of people had kind of said, oh, well, you know, maybe it'll look better in actual gameplay and stuff. Again, guys, I watched this entire thing, all the cutscenes. No, she does not look better. I'm jumping ahead. Damn tabs. She does not look better at all. She never. It's not like, oh, it's bad lighting or a bad anything. And keep in mind, guys, this is the same fan base, and I'm on this train too, that doesn't like the face change of Peter either. So for people that want to be like, oh, this is sexist or this is imposing beauty standards or whatever, no. It's just that it doesn't look as good. Like Peter, now that in the second game his face was more made for this version of Peter, it's fine. His head is too small for his shoulders, if you ask me. But other than that, it's fine. It's like, I'll get over it. And look, these things aren't the end of the world. This is still an absolutely incredible game through and through. Well, from what I've seen of it, I haven't gotten a chance to play it, but it looks incredible at least. I thought I wasn't going to like the story based on some leaks and stuff that I was reading about it. But I actually did really like it. It's definitely continuing a different take on Spider-Man, but as with any adaptation, if you view it as its own thing, then it's fine. But yeah, so this is the model who Mary Jane was designed after. You are not going to tell me that this woman looks the same as here. We even have right here, right? You're not going to tell me this is the same. Oh my god, why is it so... Okay, I don't want like a grainy thing. It just... It doesn't... Like, it doesn't. It just doesn't look the same. You're not going to tell me that this woman is the same as this. It just... There were some... what my favorite like quote about it, people saying about it was, she looks like, and I agree with this, she looks like she'd call Miles a slur. She does. She looks like a soccer mom. She looks like a wine mom, pearl clutching. Like, she doesn't look good. Um, but with that in mind, we're going to discuss the matter with a bit more nuance here. So the first thing I want to say is, no, I don't like the way she looks, and I think anybody has every right to say that they don't like how she looks because everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But we have this tweet. We gotta talk, Sony. This is a video game based on an iconic superhero. Every single woman in that game besides Aunt May should be grade A fat material. Anything less and you failed. Now, here's what I will say. Do I think every character, every woman, whatever, in this game or any game for that matter needs to be grade A fat material? No. But, and I very much have a bias here because, especially because comic book Mary Jane was my awakening, as I've talked about before. And not even just like physically and sexually interest, by the way, but specifically the relationship between Peter and Mary Jane as a whole. By the way, on that note, the relationship, the way they vibe with each other and interact with each other and everything and support each other and all that, I think is phenomenal. It's certainly better than anything we've gotten in the comics since like what 2009 probably even before that, probably since before One More Day. Um, but they have a really good relationship. So I do want to say that on that front, again, not going to spoil anything, but on that front, they do actually have a very good relationship in the like in the story itself. But I will say, yes, Mary Jane should be hot. And we'll get to it a bit later. This isn't real. Okay, we look at her on the left here. That is, I'm sorry, it's grotesque. This is not like people were saying. Like I'm not saving her. Like we'll get to that in a minute. This is done with AI on the right here, and this is obviously like way overboard. I would be lying if I said I don't like it a hell of a lot better. And a little thing that I didn't even notice here at the time, but I see now. You can actually see with the right model there, they actually made her shirt a little bit see-through too, and made her chest pop a little bit more. So you know what? That's something I can appreciate as well. I will not deny that this is 100% for the male gaze. 100% it is. You'd be in denial to say otherwise. I've talked before about the male gaze and all that stuff before. Don't have an issue with it. Just think we need things that appeal to the female gaze as well, so on and so forth, right? But we'll get into some of this stuff more specifically here as we continue on. So I do like how people are like, besides Aunt May, because as we know, the actress that plays her, Marissa Tomei, or however it's said, she is. I mean, look at her. Like I don't like the MCU, but I do like MCU Aunt May. Except I also don't, because I don't think Aunt May should be hot. Anyway, by the way, in case anybody is curious about this kind of thing. Oh, here. So yeah, I wanted to talk about their relationship in general, right? Gonna be real here. MJ looks weird in the whole game, while all other characters are okay. She's not even strange looking. It's not, no, 100% right here. It's Uncanny Valley. She looks dead in the eyes. Like, her face, she doesn't look, and this can be a relatively common problem, especially in like with 3D models and stuff. But I'm hoping I don't like go through spoilers here. Okay, so yeah, this is what Black Cat looks like in yeah, Spider-Man fumbled the bag. True, he really did. Yeah. Black Cat is still great in this game. And by the way, there are some people also that are saying things like, "Oh, she needs Black Cat is actually," or there are some people who are mad and they're like, "Oh, well, they made MJ ugly and they made Black Cat bi because it's like a war against heterosexuality or whatever." No, it's nothing like that. Black Cat has been bi in the comics for a good while now. And besides that, this is a different iteration on Spider-Man anyway. And again, without getting into specifics, For all that we know, she could have been lying about who she claims to be her girlfriend. We don't know. We don't know. But what we do know is these are some interesting tweets, right? He's wrong. Aunt May should also be fat material. The game would be a 12 out of 10. MJ in particular should be an 11 out of 10. She's literally supposed to be top tier, out of Peter's league hot. Now she looks like a man. I would. Okay, first of all, I won't go so far as to say that she looks like a man, but Mary Jane, I think, and again, bias here, but I think that she is basically supposed to be the perfect woman and the perfect partner for a superhero, where she's kind, she's fun, she's adventurous, she's supportive. In the comics she can hold her own. I know what they did to her in the Raimi movies. We're not talking about that. We're talking about like the character of Mary Jane in general. She's compassionate. She's a real, genuine, kind, loving person, and she's extremely attractive. All of those things build up to make her an incredible partner for Spider-Man. But you take one of those things away, and she's just not Mary Jane. She's certainly not my Mary Jane. Mary Jane is supposed to be canonically hot. End of discussion. His point is that that Spider-Man has been with bombshells. Getting with Mary Jane Watson was basically him hitting the jackpot. That is true. Her literal opening line. Let me I literally just reread this comic too. It's from like issue 43 or something. 42. So okay, to I'm gonna get into all this like nerdy stuff here. Mary Jane is built up for a long time in the original comics, and they did this in the '90s series and Spectacular Spider-Man as well, where she is built up as this like mysterious character who Peter keeps avoiding because Aunt May just kind of like keeps talking her up, and oh, she's our neighbor's niece, all these different things. Oh, she's such a sweet girl, and Peter's thinking like, oh, she's gonna, she's trying to hook me up with some girl that like, yeah, she's nice and all, but I'm sure she's nothing to look at. And then he finally meets her, and he's greeted with the iconic line, "Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot." This is not the jackpot. It's just not. Like simple as that. It's just not. And that's the problem. Again, it's a different take and all those different things, but people have the right to be critical about this kind of thing. She does stand out from the others, not in a great. Yeah, true. I feel the same way with Peter's face, not just because of the face model thing. I had to accept that in the remastered he looks pretty good, but more in this game, Peter's face just bothers me. Again, I think his head is just too small. Okay, cool, but what about what she looked like in the first game? Why does she look like someone totally different? No, that's the thing too. She doesn't look because again, it's like, oh, actually, here we'll do this one instead. Like, yeah, we have the first game, and then this game. Like, she doesn't look the same. She doesn't look like. Okay, here's the thing, right? I get, she's not a model. She's not like, whatever in this. She's not a model. She's not an actress. She's not anything where she would need to focus on her appearance, as some people have said. But just because she's a photographer and she's not having a career that focuses on her appearance doesn't mean she has to look like this. Also, again, a big part of the issue too is she looks like a completely different person. Like, they're trying to say like, oh, we put her hair down and that's the change. No, her face looks like a completely different shape. She does not look like the same person at all, and not just in like people change over time. No, her like you get what I mean here. It looks like a completely different model. You're not going to tell me that that it's this woman. Like there's no way. There's no way. Absolutely insane. Now, to be fair, she doesn't look that much like her either. So I don't really know how modeling characters um, off of modeling characters off of faces goes and everything. I know that years ago, um, in the oh my god, What was that game called? It was it was one of the Quantic Dreams games. What was the what was it called? What the hell? Okay, I don't know about that. Beyond Two Souls. So they used the likeness of the character. Although, didn't they play the part as well? Wait, no. Elliot Page was the main character in Beyond Two Souls. So I don't know why. I don't remember what maybe it was this. There was controversy over this. I don't know what the specifics was, but there was some controversy over like using Elliot's likeness, and I'm saying Elliot because that's what they go by now. Of course, at the time they went by a different name, but I'm not going to dead name them out of respect. So but you know who I'm talking about. Um, anyway, I remember there was like this huge controversy. And to be fair, that character model that actually does look like them. So I really don't know how this stuff works, but this character model that doesn't look like either of them. But I mean, obviously she looks prettier than both of them, but definitely not this one. Like this is absolutely insane. She isn't hideous, just extremely mid. Yeah, and that's the thing too. MJ should not be mid. Like that's absolutely ridiculous. Uh, she looks like she went for a facelift and the plastic surgeon decided to do it with wax instead. And what universe is this appealing to anyone? I wouldn't call her ugly, but she's playing. She's playing? Peter definitely did not hit the jackpot. True. Also, yeah, I don't know who that is, but this is my Mary Jane. True. I talked about this before when I talked about like women in comics and stuff. Yeah, no, this is Mary Jane, not whatever the hell that is. Mary Jane was never a butterface. They missed the point entirely. Yeah. Oh, this was about the what's it called? The Black Cat thing. By the way, Rio Morales still looks great, but I want to make sure I'm not going too far up that I like spoilers and stuff. But yeah, no, it's not. And people will have different minds about this. Some people will be like, "Oh, it's you misogynist. You just want like women to look like fuck dolls or whatever." And like, not exactly, but I do want women in media to be ones that I'm attracted to. I talked about this before. I want men to be attractive as well. Not to me personally, because like I'm not into dudes, but I want like I've talked about this before. I want eye candy for everybody. Like that is my hot take on this, and I will die on that hill. But let's talk about this idea because some people, right? They'll have this whole thing like, oh, it's this agenda. They want to make women ugly, and it's because there's too many women in video games and stuff, and all this kind of shit. It's none of those reasons, and we're gonna get into this video actually that I think sums it up very well. This is oh god, forgive my probable pronunciation here. Charlan Hazard? Charlin Hazard? I have no idea, but anyway.
Video game characters are too ugly. This is a weird thing that keeps popping up in news that I wanted to talk about today. I know I've addressed this in a Q&A very briefly before, but I'm going to dive a little bit further into it today. Both because I think there's a part of this that people are not understanding, and because I have what I think is like maybe my least popular opinion of all time. I don't know. It's at the very least a hot take. So the first part of this is that you may have seen it make the rounds. Some of the memes have been admittedly very funny. I'm not going to take that away from them. Where an image of Mary Jane in Spider-Man 2 has been revealed. This is what she looks like, and I think that this is probably just in this one-off. I think it's like a clip from like a yearbook photo or something like that. I don't imagine the character actually looks like this like functionally in gameplay, which I think is a thing that comes up a lot in these conversations about female video game characters getting too ugly. It also happened with Aloy in Horizon Zero Dawn, which is the last time that I addressed this. It also recently happened with the protagonist.
Real quick, by the way, this image does show up in game. What this image is actually used for is when you're playing the game, you'll have different characters call you on the phone and you'll talk to them while you're like swinging around the city or doing whatever it is. And this image is her icon when you're talking to her. So like you have to see this. It's awful.
Of Fable, or at least who we're assuming is the protagonist of Fable. You don't really know anything about that game. I'm so excited about it.
It's only Peter's icon for her though. Miles has a different icon, which is okay.
But this is her. Similarly, definitely got a lot of heat for being not hot enough, which I find to be like a little bit funny in the case of Fable because this character's always been goofy looking. But for Mary Jane specifically, Insomniac came out and said that they are using the exact same face model. The face model has not changed. And again, this is a still. It's supposed to look kind of like a yearbook photo. I mean, I think a lot of video game characters look kind of unsettling when you have them posed in a photo mode kind of pose. But for the first part of this, let me just address this suggestion of female video game characters getting uglier and where I think a lot of that is being misdirected. So it's partly true. It is partly true that video game characters in general, especially I think in Western markets, just because that's the style of game, they're getting more realistic, could be perceived to be being less attractive. The reason for this, I don't think, is what people think. I've seen people suggest that it's because there are more female game developers, though I will note that there are a lot of female game developers. I pretty regularly have meetings at my day job in game development that are just rooms full of women, just entirely women. I do think there are a lot more women involved in making games than a lot of people realize, and directly related to this conversation, I cannot speak for everybody, obviously, and don't want to like have that kind of stance, but I would like to share. The sex minigames in the original God of War games were actually designed by women. It's like this part where you go into Aphrodite's chamber, and it's like got this like flowing kind of like fabric over her bed, designed to look like a labia, like a female vagina, by female game developers. I think
There you go. Yeah, by the way, something a lot of people don't understand with this stuff is people that so there's two sides to this, right? There's people who will like they'll get mad, you'll have like woke scold, so we'll get mad at men and they'll be like, oh, they design women to look like this and that and da 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 da. And then you'll have women men who will get mad at women and they'll be like, oh, they design, same thing, but the other way around. When in actuality, a lot of sexualized things about women in media has been designed by women. A lot of this is because women do in fact enjoy sex and being objects of desire. It's just that it needs to be on their terms because people want to be desired, but on their terms in the ways and such that they want to be desired. Anything else is where it's too far. It's the whole thing about, the magical consent. It really is important. It's the most important thing. That's like all it comes down to is like, do they want to be viewed that way? Yes? Great. Do they not? Okay, cool. Then don't do it. Simple as that. Now, one thing that I want to touch on here, I've thought this for a long ass time. I realized this like at least 10 or more years ago. Video games that strive to look more realistic, and this is true for animation in general, that strives to look more realistic, will become more dated over time than media that embraces more cartoony aesthetics. Mario, Sonic, Crash Bandicoot, all of these different Mega Man, all of these different video game characters that are cartoony in nature and don't necessarily go too far with realism age better than things that try to be hyper realistic. Give you a perfect example. Not shopping. This was cutting edge at one point. This was cutting edge, top of the line graphics. I'm not kidding. He has no eyes and he must see. Yeah. Now, granted, of course, there was the Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes reboot, in which he looks better because his models got more like the characters in general. I mean, look better because they've got more polygons and all that. Better. But again, this still is not going to age as well as no. I want the Dreamcast. Doesn't age as well as this. Do you know why? Because we know what real people look like. We know what real people look like. There are people who actually look something like this. Or something like this. Or even something like this. There is nothing that looks like this in real life. And the more you try to get to this without getting close enough, you get this. What we're ultimately seeing here is not misogyny, is not enforced beauty standards, none of that bullshit. We are seeing the uncanny valley. That's it. That's what this comes down to. The closer you get to realism without it being real is the uncanny valley. And this right here, this is uncanny valley. This is not uncanny valley. If we actually had blue anthropomorphic hedgehogs in real life, we would have uncanny valley. But it's not uncanny valley. Oh my god, Polar Express, great example of uncanny valley. You're not going to look at like these characters and be like, oh yeah, no, they look fine. No, uncanny valley. That's what this, not her. That's what this is. That's the real issue here. It's uncanny valley, and it happens with all of this stuff. And we're gonna have this person go into it a little bit here too.
A lot of people like attribute all of that to men, and every time I see that, they're like, yeah. Back when men were making video games, girls did all of that. They did it back then. This isn't a new thing. So that's one attribution. So the reality is just that games are getting more realistic, and there are several like really beneficial parts to human characters having more human faces. So as video games getting more realistic looking, our PCAP technology, which is performance capture, which is where you see someone with like a camera in front of their face. Motion capture is when they're moving their bodies. Performance capture is able to pick up more nuances of the human face.
Yeah, I'd recommend watching her full video on this if you're interested. I'm not going to go over the full thing, but essentially what she is talking about here is that that idea that like things are getting more realistic, and when you have that, you're going to have more, facial flaws and details and stuff that are showing that you wouldn't have had before. But again, really what it comes down to is it's just uncanny valley. Like that's really what it comes down to. But I spoiled the image like 5 times in a row. Where did it go? Now I can't find it. Oh, I think okay. So we had that image of like the fixed thing, right? I don't get to play this until it comes out on PC, unless I get a PS5 at some point. But this is an example where the modding community comes in really handy, especially on the PC. You can, like, people have done funny mods, right, where they've put Otto Octavius over Mary Jane. This is for the first Spider-Man, Insomniac Spider-Man game, not the second one. But people have done this where you already have like, I have so many tabs open. There are modded makeup options for Mary Jane to make her look prettier and give her different makeup if you want to do that. Like, mods are going to give you the ability to change this kind of stuff to your liking, which is why I love mods, because they're incredible. And it's cool because you even have things like you can change, people have made mods for changing parts of her hair, her nails, her outfit. There's this like goth Mary Jane, and they did the long hair thing before Insomniac did. Although it's not great by any means. By the way, for the people that want to be like, oh, she looks the same, she just has longer hair. No, this is what she would look like if that was true. So another example of this is the character of, and that what is she called? Chara Lanhazard. Chara Lanhazard. Another example of this kind of thing. Oh, and by the way, there are mods to like put the original Peter model's face into. There's all kind of stuff. But another example of this, as she mentioned before, was the character of Alloy, the main character from what's that game called? Horizon Zero Dawn. Sorry, on Nexus mods, you can put like any kind of mod basically, and there are some that aren't safe for work and not safe for YouTube. So I have to not have that on screen when I'm looking for them. So this is what the main character of Horizon Zero Dawn, Aloy, looks like. Now, people that were saying that had said things like, "Oh, she has like a beard or whatever," I don't understand those kind of comments. But does she look that great? Personally, no. However, modders came in, and this is one of the many variants of a facial rework that they did. They only changed things slightly, but you can see the difference, right? You can see the difference here in what they did, and this is why I like mods in general. I think it's great that people can take anything about a game. Well, it only happens in games right now, but they can take anything and they can like change anything they like about it. People have put like OC, like original fan costumes or costumes that just didn't make it in the first Spider-Man game, for example. Like you can have the comic accurate black suit, which I no, it is in the. I'm gonna shut up. Again, no spoilers. Anyway, yeah. So I love. I'm a big fan. Like the reason that I personally play a lot of games on PC in general is because of mods. I like that you can tweak games to look and play the way you want them to because I think that's just really cool that you can do that. And I think if somebody wants to take a character like Aloy, who looks like this traditionally, and make her look more like this, that's perfectly fine. Now, let me see if I can find some other examples here. But you can see here, there are a bunch of different like the most popular mod. Oh, that's the one I was just showing. Alloy face rework. But there are all kind of different mods. Here's one, face fix. It's called, where you have before and after. And again, really, what you have here is it's just Uncanny Valley. The reason she doesn't look good is because of the Uncanny Valley. So people want to look at this and they want to make it this whole thing like, oh, it's people being like misogynistic or whatever. Listen, again, me being a person who cares very much about my own appearance as well as, you know, liking to look at pretty things in media, yeah, I want women in media to be good looking. I also want men in media to be good looking. Not necessarily everybody, but the main character, yeah, absolutely. Or the main character's love interest, or like someone that's going to be a prominent member that I'm going to see frequently. Yeah, I would say that's pretty important, unless it's someone like Aunt May. Despite how people feel about Marissa Tomei, however you pronounce it. Um, anyway, yeah, I just really wanted to talk about that and this whole thing because it's just Uncanny Valley. Like, I totally get why people are upset about this, but again, this is not this. But the reason we're here is not because of some woke agenda or anything like that. It's because of the Uncanny Valley. And the reason people are annoyed about it is not because they're just raging misogynists or anything. It's specifically because it looks weird. We notice that it looks weird, and it's an issue. Some of the comments, about Mary Jane and that aspect and everything, are very odd, but for the most part, I get where they're coming from. Although some things aren't necessarily worded the best, I get it, and I do agree for the most part. So it is what it is. But hey, once it finally comes to PC, if it ever comes to PC, modders can get on it and they can start fixing things. Even though they never removed, they still didn't take out the damn what are they called? Stealth missions where you have to play as MJ in the first game. That was been great if those were removed, but they weren't. So in any case, it is what it is. So people that are offended by it and are like, "Oh, this is the end of the world," just chill out. It's not great. I don't like it either, but it doesn't ruin the game or anything like that. People that are on the other side about it are like, "Oh, this is so great for like women. What do you call it? Representation." Or people that are like, "Oh, you're just mad about it because you're misogynistic." Like whatever. No, it's none of those extremes. It's just Uncanny Valley. People like looking at pretty things, and of course pretty people in real life or in media, whatever. And you know, it's fine. Like it's yeah. Um, People can have their preferences and their all that stuff, and they can complain or whatever. But people that are going as far as to be like, oh, it's a woke agenda. No, no, no. It's nothing like that. It's just part of the process. We're the funny thing is, this process might actually unironically lead us to this at some point. It might, because right now we're in Uncanny Valley, but what happens when we get out of the Uncanny Valley? We finally get to the real thing. That will be incredible when and if we ever get there. So, maybe if that's the case, then I'd say that going through this Uncanny Valley is worth it. And in the meantime, like I said, mods will fix what doesn't look good. We'll see if they if they give us the ability to switch out Peter's face again. Maybe not, but I don't know, because you do have the ability to put other faces like Tobey Maguire's and Andrew Garfield's face and stuff on the first Spider-Man game. So maybe modders will put that for the new one as well. Like I said, we'll see. But again, people that are getting so mad about it one way or the other, or so have such strong feelings about it one way or the other, just calm down. No, it doesn't look great, but it's fine. It is what it is. Learn to accept it. We'll be all right. As always, these are just my thoughts. Let me know what yours are in the comments down below. Oh, and by the way, again, just really, really want to shout out. I really have to shout out the incredible representation that we had, because I really wanted to hit on that too. I don't want to leave it on like that sour note of the appearance thing. The representation, again, cannot be understated. So again, that's how you properly do. That's a great example of how to properly do representation. Um, and with the whole MJ thing, it's not the end of the world. So, in any case, these are just my thoughts. Let me know what yours are in the comments down below. Follow me on social media for more. Links in the description. Subscribe and ring the bell to stay up to date. Leave a like if you like. And if not, I hope you find something to do like. Later, guys. Peace and love.